Some animals refuse to go down. Take these guys that keep regenerating, or these indestructible ones. Even tiny critters like this won't die, immediately anyway. Number 10. Bees. Dead bees can still sting. Yep, I mean sure, some of the headless bees can still come after you zombie style even if they lose their heads, but more often than not, we get stung by dead bees when we let our guards down. You see, even on its deathbed, a bee is still on high alert. Even when the life flies away from that insect, its stingers are still poisonous. Pair that with curious folks when they see a dead bee, and you can see how easily we can still get stung. So yeah, it's less the bee stung you than you pricking yourself on a stinger. To avoid having poison injected into you for 10 minutes and more, it's better to leave dead bees behind. If you have to, step on it with footwear on. You don't want to suffer through excruciating pain, do you? Ha, still, good luck on the off chance you encounter a zombie bee. Protect yourself as you usually do against these critters, and try not to get spooked too much by it. Number 9. Frogs. Winter. Animals are in the burrows preparing for a long nap. And then there are wood frogs. The wood frog has an almost unbelievable ability to survive the winter. Wood frogs hibernate near the soil's surface rather than burrowing deep underground or seeking the warmth of a mountain rock crevice. Unlike other animals that experience lower metabolisms and lower body temperatures during hibernation, wood frogs do not simply become cold and slow down. They literally stop moving. Up to 2/3 of the water in a frog's body can freeze and awaken in the spring. They accomplish this by using compounds like urea and glucose to prevent water loss from cells throughout their bodies. While their blood freezes solid and their limbs stiffen like icicles, their cells can continue to function. The first heavy rains of spring signal the return of the wood frogs. They congregate by the hundreds in vernal pools. These raucous breeding events fill the forest with the distinctive quack-like call of the wood frog and end just as quickly as they begin. They return to their homes on the forest floor in days. Number 8. Salamander. We've always known that salamanders, including axolotls, always had the superpower to regenerate lost limbs. However, did you know that those aren't the only things that can grow back? Research shows that they can regenerate major organs too, such as ovaries, lungs, and even parts of the brain and spinal cord. These guys won the genetic lottery. So just how does this work? Well, scientists recently unraveled some of their secrets. It creates a special type of skin called wound epithelium to cover the amputation site, before forming a small patch of tissue called a blastema from which the new body part sprouts. However, until recently, it took much work to pinpoint the precise cells and molecules required to build a leg from scratch. However, regeneration researchers can now learn about those specifics thanks to the recent sequencing and assembly of the axolotl's enormous genome and the development of methods to alter the creature's genes in the lab. They'll probably discover salamander techniques that can be applied to human medicine. Who knows? Maybe soon people will be able to regrow limbs too. Number 7. Dancing squid. The Katsu-ika odori don is most commonly found in restaurants in the Japanese coastal prefectures of Aomori and Hokkaido, where the tradition is said to have started, though the historical origins of the odori don dish have sparked some debate. Some believe it is a modern interpretation of traditional Japanese practices such as odorigui, which translates as dancing eating and refers to eating something alive, usually a tiny fish. The dancing squid fish could have also originated from the traditional practice of ikizukuri, in which a chef prepares sashimi from live sea creatures. According to one experienced food blogger, eating live animals originated in Japan as an ostentatious display of wealth. Due to how the squid still moves in the dish, many have been concerned about animal cruelty. However, they shouldn't worry. The squid is long dead when it arrives on the counter. The reason it dances? According to science, the tissue is still alive. So, tissues will still respond to stimuli even if the brain is missing. But don't worry, as the brain is gone, it no longer feels pain. Number 6. Chicken. On September 10, 1945, Lloyd Olson was beheading chickens for the market in Fruita, Colorado, when one of the headless fowls picked itself up and began running around the yard. The following morning, Olson was shocked to discover the chicken, named Mike, still alive in a box on the porch. Because a chicken's brain is mainly located behind its eyes at the back of its head, Mike survived. Most of Mike's head was severed when Olson brought down the axe, but the area of the brain in charge of breathing, digestion, and other bodily functions was left intact. Over the following 18 months, Olson displayed the headless rooster at fairs, carnivals, and other public gatherings. He used a dropper to feed Mike liquid food and water into his esophagus and a syringe to drain mucus from his throat. Mike attained such notoriety that Time magazine featured him. On March 17, 1947, Mike passed away in Phoenix, Arizona, where he was on tour. Olson and his wife Clara were awakened by Mike choking on mucus in their hotel room as they forgot their syringe. Number 5. Cockroaches. Most animals cannot survive without their heads because it is one of their most vital organs. However, the situation is different for cockroaches. How long can a roach survive without a head then? Here's the response: up to a week. Cockroaches don't need their mouths or heads to breathe because, unlike humans, they breathe through tiny holes in each body segment. However, since they require mouths to consume water, they will eventually pass away from dehydration after about a week. Cockroaches could go 1 month without food if they didn't need water to stay alive. Cockroaches have a variety of other intriguing survival strategies in addition to the ability to live without a head. Cockroaches, for instance, have a 40-minute breath-holding capacity. Even being submerged underwater for up to 30 minutes won't harm them. Other than that, they move very quickly as well. They have a top speed of 3 miles an hour, which is comparable to the speed of walking. Unfortunately, this also means they can quickly spread bacteria and germs throughout our homes, which is bad news for us. Number 4. Turtles. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women. A blocked artery prevents blood flow and deprives the heart of oxygen during a heart attack. Heart tissue begins to die immediately, and failure to pump oxygen-filled blood through the body will result in death if not assisted. Not all vertebrates follow those guidelines. The red-eared slider turtle can survive without oxygen for a day at warm temperatures and weeks at temperatures just above freezing. Its average heart rate is approximately 25 beats per minute. Take away its oxygen and its heart rate drops to 10 beats per minute in 6 hours. And the heart doesn't need input from the nervous system to continue beating. Do you know what that means? It means the turtle's heart continues beating even when outside the chest, and some people have found that out the hard way by seeing it happen in person. If you don't believe me, there are numerous video proofs of turtle hearts beating on the internet. Poor turtles though. I hope this doesn't become a trend to test this out. Time for today's best pick. You might have heard about that chef in China dying due to this animal. What's eerie is that the animal was supposed to be dead. Find out what it is next. Number 3. Snake. According to news reports, a man killed a rattlesnake in his backyard, and not long after, the rattlesnake's severed head bit and injected venom into the man, seriously injuring him. According to K3, the zombie-like incident occurred while Jennifer Sutcliffe and her husband worked in their backyard over the Memorial Day weekend. Sutcliffe claimed that she spotted the 4-foot snake while weeding, and that her husband beheaded it with a shovel to protect her. But as he knelt down to kill the snake, its severed head bit his hand. How is that even possible? The answer is related to the snake's physiology. Snakes are cold-blooded, which means they obtain heat from outside sources such as sunlight and warm surfaces. Snakes don't require as much energy as warm-blooded endotherms do, according to David Penning, an assistant professor of biology at Missouri Southern State University. A mammal will die almost instantly if it loses its head. However, snakes that do not require as much oxygen to fuel the brain can probably survive for minutes or even hours, according to Penning. Better be wary around snakes, guys. Number 2. Praying mantis. Female mantises are known to eat males during or after mating, a behavior called sexual cannibalism by biologists. But among the boarded mantises Maxwell studies, things get even weirder. As it turns out, just because a male mantis loses his head doesn't mean he loses the desire to reproduce. You heard that correctly. Some male boarded mantises can not only continue mating while being attacked by their female counterparts, but some males can mount a female and initiate mating even after having their heads wholly bitten off. Maxwell discovered that about a quarter of this time when a male approaches a female, he is eaten. He is most vulnerable when approaching the female and during mating. If they survive, the males fall off the females or fly away when they're finished. You would think that being partially devoured would put a male mantis off, but it doesn't. Half of the males killed while attempting to mate are decapitated, but they continue to complete the job without their heads. Number 1. Tardigrade. Tardigrades are microscopic, 8-legged creatures that have traveled to space and would most likely survive the apocalypse. They also resemble adorable miniature bears. They are part of an elite group of animals known as extremophiles, or creatures that can survive in environments that most others cannot. Tardigrades, for example, can survive for up to 30 years without food or water. They can also survive at temperatures as low as absolute zero or above boiling, pressures 6 times that of the deepest trenches in the ocean and in space. Their resiliency is partly due to D-sub, a unique protein in their bodies that protects their DNA from being harmed by things like ionizing radiation, which is found in soil, water, and vegetation. Another amazing survival technique is cryptobiosis, which is a state of inactivity caused by a dry environment. The microanimals expel all their water, retract their heads and limbs, roll up into a small ball, and go dormant. When the weather improves, they unfurl and go about their business. So really, good luck trying to kill these guys.